Okay, here, does it show that is this my volume? Hopefully this works better. It says I'm working. Okay, do you have anybody in? If you're in and you can hear me, say something. Or if you can't hear me, say something. Can you hear me? It shows that it's working. At least right now I'm using the computer mic. See if anybody's having a hard time finding it. Again. This is not good. I don't know why the volume or the sound is having issues. It shows that it's working right here. So fingers crossed that it's still working. Seems like it's working. See if we can get people to find it. Go out and find the new live. Okay. Oh, can you hear me? Yes. Okay. I'm going to turn on this mic because it's not on right now, unless hope that it still works. Okay. Can you still hear me? Oh, it just loaded. Okay. Can you still hear me? Perfect. Okay. I don't know what it is about Mac sometimes, but it's like you have to reset stuff. And you have to, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know what happened, but for some reason it had my settings. Everything showed that it was working, that my sound was working, and then it wasn't. I'm going to go and type in. I need to make sure that other people can find, because we had a few other people on here before. So hold on and let me make sure that anybody who is still looking for us can find us. Sorry, this is going to take just a second because I have to go. Oh, two of them were you? Were you in here twice? Let's see. Videos. Live. Okay, that won't let me comment the way I hoped. So hopefully if there is somebody else, they can find us. Let me just go onto Facebook here. Okay. I think we'll be okay. I just left a message. All right. So today, hopefully this stays working. I think I just messed something up. And sometimes sometimes Apple computers can be super glitchy, like sensitive. And if you mess something up, then it just like, well, fine, you didn't want it to work anyway, so we're not going to make it work for you. So I think last time I had played with my headset too much. And that was a big problem. So today, fingers crossed that it continues to work really well. Let's see. Today we're doing Moon to Lotus flow. So you'll need a prop. So if you have something that's very similar to one of these blocks that I have back here, or if you have a can or a pillow or something, you'll need that. We'll be doing half moon a few times during this, and it will help to have that prop. And I'm going to put my phone on silent, and let's go ahead and get started. And we're starting quite a bit late, so let's not waste time. Come to a comfortable seated position on your mat. You can cross your legs. You can place one foot in front of the other. I do kind of a hybrid of both with my legs out wide, or if you want, you can have them closer together if that's more comfortable. I like to sit with my legs wide. Bring your spine up and over your hips, your hands on your knees with your palms face up. Roll your shoulders up, back, and down away from your ears. Tuck your chin slightly, close your eyes, and start to bring awareness to your breath without making any changes. Just notice how you're breathing in and out. Notice how your belly is moving in and out or up and down, and your chest. Bring awareness to the space between your upper lip and your nose. Do you feel your breath there? Take a deep inhale and hold it. Sigh it out. Inhale again. Hold it. Sigh it out. One more time. Inhale. Take another sip of air. Hold it. Sigh it out. Close your mouth. Start to breathe in and out through your nose. And add a slight constriction to the back of your throat, coming to your ujjayi breath, that oceanic sound. Keeping your eyes closed and staying with your breath. Tilt your head forward, bringing your chin closer to your chest. Letting yourself feel that stretch in the back of your neck. Tilt your head to the right, bringing your right ear closer to your right shoulder. Bring your chin back to your chest. Then over to the left, bringing the left ear closer to the shoulder. Chin back to chest, and then over to the right. Chin to chest, and over to the left. Bring your chin back to your chest. Lift your head back up. Blink your eyes open. Place your right fingertips on the mat beside you, reaching your hand away from you. Tilt your head to the left. You still feel that stretch. You should feel a good stretch here in this part between your neck and your shoulder. If you want a little extra tension, place your left hand on top of your head. And release. And both hands back to your knees. Place your left fingertips beside you, reaching your hand away from you. Tilt your head to the right. Yourself feel that stretch as you reach your hand away. If you want a little extra tension, place your right hand on top of your head. Just giving it a little extra weight here. And release. Bring both hands back to your knees. Reach your hands out in front of you. And flex your wrists so your palms are facing forward, your fingertips are up. And reach your wrists forward. So really stretch through your wrists here. Thinking about pushing your wrists away, keeping your palms in front of you. And flex them the other way so your palms are facing you and your fingertips are toward the floor. Continue to reach through your palms or your wrists. Rotate your wrists out 3 times. And then in 3 times. Your hands back to your knees. And find a tabletop position on your mat. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Make sure your hands are spread wide here and your pointer fingers, your index fingers are pointed toward the front of the mat. The tops of your feet are resting on the mat behind your knees. Inhale, arch your back. Let your heart shine through your shoulders. And exhale, round your back, look toward your belly button. Inhale forward. And exhale, push your hands and your knees into the mat as you round your back here. Inhale forward, pulling your hands and your knees closer together as you let your heart shine forward. And exhale, round your back. Inhale. Keeping your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale. Inhale one more time. And exhale one more time. Come back to neutral spine. Inhale your right arm forward and your left leg back. Flex your left foot and reach your right hand and your left foot away from you. Inhale again. And exhale, bring your knee and your elbow to touch as you point your toes. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow, rounding your back here. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. One more time, knee to elbow. Extend. And place your hand and your knee back on the mat. Inhale your left arm forward and your right leg back. Flex your right toes. And exhale, knee to elbow, rounding your back. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, extend, and place your hand and your knee back on the mat. Make sure your hands are under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips. Tuck your toes. Press your toes into the mat as you lift your knees and your hips up into downward facing dog. Since this is our first downward dog of the practice, please make sure we have a good setup. Look forward at your hands. Make sure your hands are spread wide with your pointer fingers pointing forward toward the front of your mat. Roll your elbows in and up. Avoid hyperextension. Shoulders away from your ears. To help you get your hips up, bend your knees here. Press your hips up. That'll also help straighten your back. And then straighten your knees. Place your heels on the mat. Avoid hyperextension in your knees here. So if you're prone to hyperextending, make sure you have a little bend in your knees. And if your heels don't quite reach the mat, that's okay. The point is to reach your hips up and reach your heels back. Come back to your Ujjayi breath. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Bend your knees, stack your hips, rotate your ankle in one direction 3 times, and the other direction 3 times. Draw a circle with your knee one direction 3 times, in the other direction 3 times. Extend your leg back to three-legged dog and place your foot back down on the mat. Inhale your left leg up to three-legged dog. Bend your knee, stack your hips, rotate your ankle one direction 3 times, and then the other direction 3 times. Draw a circle with your knee one direction 3 times, and the other direction 3 times. Extend your leg and place it back on the mat, coming back to your downward facing dog. And let's start our flow. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. Place your left foot on the mat, all the way on the mat, rotating that heel 90 degrees. Windmill your hands up, so first bringing up your left, followed by your right, coming into Warrior 2. Here in Warrior 2, back leg is straight. Weight is in your outside of your foot, in that blade edge of your foot. Bend into your right front knee. And really open up your hips here. So this knee is pressing out. So you're opening up your hips, but not so far out that it's not over your ankle anymore. Continue to keep that knee stacked over your ankle, keeping everything in one alignment. Bring your belly up off your thigh, shoulders down away from your ears, and your hands and arms are parallel to the mat. Gaze is at your front middle finger. Straighten your right knee, lean forward, reaching your right hand as far forward as you can, and place your right hand on your foot, on the inside of your mat, or on your shin. Find whichever is more comfortable to you, and rotate through your waist, bringing your chest up more, letting your heart shine toward the ceiling as much as possible, really opening that up, reaching your left hand up toward the ceiling. Bring your left hand down to the mat, place it beside your right, and lift your right hand up toward the sky, rotating the other way, letting your heart shine that direction. If you need to, you can step your left foot forward a little bit to help you get into that twist if it's not quite available to you. Now place both hands on the mat. Take your block or prop that you have for this practice, place it about a foot or a foot and a half in front of your right foot, and start to pop your left leg up a little bit forward as you lean your right hand onto your prop. So you've still got your left hand on the mat and your weight is in your right foot, but your left foot is up. Start to open up your hips here. Flex your left foot. As you open up your hips, start to bring your left hand up off the mat, reaching it up toward the ceiling. And slowly come into this pose as you're thinking about, again, talking and doing this at the same time is always fun. Start to open up that hip, keeping that foot flexed, and start to reach that left hand up toward the ceiling as you start to bring your gaze to the side, looking at the wall in front of you, or find some point in front of you to look at. And slowly bring your left hand back down to the mat and set your left foot on the mat behind you, keeping it turned out still at that 90 degrees. Windmill your hands back up into warrior two. Turn both toes so they're facing the corners of your mat. Squat down into your goddess squat, pressing your knees out. So this first goddess squat, bring your hands to your knees, on the inside of your knees, and press them out. That's the feeling that you want in your goddess. And bring your hands up into this goddess arm with a 90-degree angle, and your elbows and your palms facing the ceiling. Straighten your knees, rotate your feet so they're facing the side of the mat. Bring your arms out straight so they're parallel to the mat. Hinge at the hips, bringing your torso down, hands underneath your shoulders. Activate your hips and your thighs. Grab onto your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale to a flat back, and exhale, fold. Go only as far as you can with that straight spine. And think about reaching your hips up toward the ceiling as you stretch your head closer to the floor. If your head is really close to the floor, you can shorten your stance to bring your feet in closer together. If your head's really far away, you can widen your stance to help you get a little bit closer. Elbows out to the side, shoulders away from your ears. And release. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders, into your hips. And slowly bring your body all the way up. Bend into your left knee as you keep your right foot straight and rotate your toes up toward the ceiling. Coming into a low squat on the left side, Skandasana. Bring your left elbow on the inside of your left knee, hands to your heart. If this is not quite available to you, all the way down on your heel, you can come up on your left toes. It also gives a good balance and a good stretch to your toes. Rotate your torso toward the back of the mat. Place your hands at the top of the mat or the back of the mat. Rotate your body, step back to plank, lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your left leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. Lower your back foot to that 90 degrees so your toes are facing the side of the mat. And windmill your hands up, first bringing up your right, then your left. Coming into warrior two on the left side of the back of the mat. So again, weight is in the blade edge of your back foot. Bring your torso up away from that front thigh so you work to get your shoulders and your hips in one alignment. Continue to bend into this front knee with the knees stacked over the ankle, shoulders away from your ears, arms are strong parallel here to the floor. Come back to your Ujjayi breath. Straighten your left knee, lean forward, reaching your left hand out as much as possible, and then bring it down, placing your hand on the inside of your foot, or on the mat, or on your foot, or on your shin just above the ankle. Find whichever is most comfortable to you, and rotate that chest out, letting your heart shine up. Look up at your right hand extended toward the ceiling. Bring your right hand all the way down to the mat. Place it beside your right and beside your left, and lift your left hand up toward the ceiling. Coming into this revolved triangle. Bring it back down to the mat. Grab your prop. Place your prop, whatever it is, if it's a pillow or a can or a basket, place it about a foot in front of your left foot and start to bring your weight to your left foot as you pop your right leg up. So your hands are still are still down. Left hand is on the prop, right hand is still on your mat. Keep your left foot facing the mat, or the front of the mat. Well, it's really the back of the mat. As you start to bring your weight just to your foot and your hand, start to lift your left hand up toward the ceiling as you rotate your right foot out, opening up that hip. Find a gaze, find something to look at to the side of you, and slowly bring your right hand back down to the mat. Step your right foot back, keeping it turned at that 90 degrees so your toes are facing the side of the mat, and windmill your hands back up to warrior two. Turn both toes so they're facing the corners of the mat. Come into your goddess pose. Continuing to keep those knees working outward, away from you, opening up those hips. Straighten your knees, rotate your toes so they're facing the sides of your mat. Arms parallel to the mat, hinge at the hips. Coming forward, bringing your torso down, arms underneath your shoulders. Bring your hands to your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale to that flat back, exhale, fold. Each time you inhale, back off slightly, working to make sure that you have the right setup, and exhale, fold a little deeper. And release. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders, then to your hips. Bring your torso all the way back up. Start to bend into your right knee as you turn your foot out slightly. Keep that left knee straight as you come into a squat on your right side. Toes are pointed up. Bring your right elbow on the inside of your right knee, hands at heart center in prayer. Skandasana on the right side. Rotate your body so it's facing the front of the mat. Now place both hands at the top of the mat. Rotate your body that direction. Step back to plank, lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. Lower that back foot to that 90 degrees. Windmill your arms up to warrior two. Straighten your front leg, lean forward, and bring your hand down into triangle. Bring your left hand down to the mat and lift your right up into revolved triangle. Bring both hands down to the mat. Grab onto your prop, keeping it about a foot in front of your right foot. Start to bring your weight to your right foot as you pop your left foot up. As you come into your half moon, really think about bringing more weight into your left. Eventually, as you start to progress in this pose, you'll get away from using the prop. Start to rotate your hips open toward the side of the mat as you lift your left hand up toward the ceiling and start to turn your gaze out to the side. Bring your hand back down to the mat. Step your left foot back, keeping your toes open. Lift your getting tongue-tied here. Windmill your arms up, bringing your left and then your right. Coming back to warrior two. Rotate your toes, they're facing the corners of the mat. Come into goddess. Straighten your legs. Turn your toes in. Lean forward all the way down into this fold. Grab your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale to flat back, exhale, fold. Release. Bring your hands to the floor, then to your hips. Come all the way up with a flat back. Bend into your left foot as you straighten in your right, coming into Skandasana. At the back of the mat on your left side. Bring your hands to the back of the mat. Rotate your body, step back to plank. Lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Look forward at your hands. Had to think for a second. Okay. Inhale your left leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through. In between your hands, stay up on your back toes, and inhale your hands all the way up into crescent lunge. Step carefully with balance here. Step your right foot forward. Keep your knees bent, coming into chair pose. Bring your hands down by your sides. Your palms face forward, come to your tippy toes. Come back up into chair, and then all the way to mountain with your hands up over your head, hands down to your heart center. Start to bring your weight to your left foot as you lift your right up. Rotate your knee out and set your foot on the inside of your thigh, on the inside of your calf, or use it as a kickstand. Here, whichever feels the most comfortable to you at this point in your practice as you're working on your balance. Bring your hands to your heart center. Continue to keep that knee turned out. Inhale your hands up, overhead. You grow your branches out. Grow your branches back in to your heart. Lift that knee up into staff pose, flexing your foot. Get this 90-degree angle in your knee here. And slowly hinge your body forward, torso forward, as you bring your right leg back behind you and step it back behind you into crescent lunge. Lower your hands to the mat. Step back to plank. Turn your heels to the left side of your mat and open up your body into a side plank. So bringing your weight to your left hand and the left side of your foot. Open up, bringing your right arm up toward the ceiling, and your chest is now facing the side of the mat. Lift your hips a little bit higher here. And if you're comfortable, you can stack your feet or you can keep them where they were. Look up at your left or your right hand if you're comfortable here. And then lower your right hand to the mat. Come back to your toes into plank. Lower to chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. Inhale your right or your left leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. Lower that right leg down to the mat. And windmill your hands coming up into warrior two. Straighten your left knee, lean forward, come into triangle. Bring your right hand down to the mat and open up your left into revolved triangle. Bring your left hand down to the mat, grab onto your prop, set it about a foot in front of your left. As you start to bring your weight to your left foot, pop your right leg up. So the only thing that's off the mat right now is your left or your right foot. Start to bring your weight to your left foot as you bring your torso up a little bit more, using your prop, and open up your left hand bringing it to the ceiling as you open up your chest. And start to bring your gaze to the side. Slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Set your left or your right foot behind you, keeping it turned out at the 90 degrees. Bring your arms up into warrior two. Rotate your feet coming into goddess. Straighten your knees. Bring your hands parallel to the mat as you hinge at the hips. Come all the way forward. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Grab your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale to a straight spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale back to your hands under your shoulders, then to your hips. Come all the way up. Rotate your right foot forward toward the front of the mat. Come into warrior two at the front of the mat. Windmill your hands down to your mat. I think we're supposed to be in Skandasana. That's okay. And step back to plank. Lower to chaturanga. Upward dog. And downward dog. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. And step your left foot up to meet your right. Sweep your hands across the mat and inhale up into chair pose. We didn't stay in this one long on the other side. Let's make sure we have a good setup here. Look down at your feet. Make sure you can see your toes past your knees. If not, bring your knees a little bit more back. Bend a little bit deeper into your chair. Chest is up, shoulders down, away from your knees, or away from your ears, and away from your knees. Bring your hands down by your sides with your palms facing forward. Come to your tiptoes into a flying chair. Bring your heels back down and inhale all the way up. Bring your hands up overhead and down to your heart center in prayer. Keep your hands here in prayer. Use your left hand if needed as you lift your left leg up and rotate the knee out. Place the sole of your foot on the inside of your upper thigh, on the inside of your calf, or use it as a kickstand. Avoid placing it on your joints. So avoid placing it on your knee or directly on your ankle. Continue to keep that knee rotated out. Inhale your hands up and out into your tree expression. Bring your hands back in to prayer. Lift your knee up into staff. So you've got this 90-degree ankle in your knee. And start to hinge at the waist, bringing your torso forward as you bring your left leg back. Step it all the way back. Bring your hands up into crescent lunge. So here in crescent lunge, your heel is up. That back leg is as straight as possible without hyperextending your knee. Bend into this front knee, keeping your knees stacked over your ankle. Hips are forward, which means your thighs are pressed closely in together, which is what we call scissoring your legs. And your hands are up overhead, shoulders down, away from your ears. Bring your hands down to the mat. Step back to plank. Rotate your feet, rotate your feet to the right side. So you're coming to the blade edge of your right foot as you come into side plank. Open up your body here to the left. Lift your left hand up toward the ceiling. And if you're comfortable here, look up at your left hand extended toward the ceiling. Lower your left hand down to the mat. Lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands at the top of the mat. Lower that left foot to that 90 degrees and windmill your hands up into warrior two. Straighten your right knee, lean forward, come into triangle. Bring your left hand down to the mat, lift your right up into revolved triangle. Bring both hands down to the mat. Grab your prop in front of you. Start to lift your left leg up and bring your weight to your right leg, your right foot, as you start to balance here on that right foot. Open your foot up to the left and start to bring your right hand up toward the ceiling. Start to turn your torso to the left. And if it's available to you, if you're feeling good in this balance, start to gaze toward the left. Slowly lower your hands back down to the mat. Step your left foot all the way back, keeping your toes turned toward the side. Bring your arms back up into warrior two. Rotate your feet towards the corners of the mat. Come into your goddess. Lift your hips and rotate your toes toward the side of the mat. Hands at the hips, bring your hands under your shoulders first. And make sure your thighs and your glutes are activated as you grab onto your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale to a flat back, exhale, fold. Come back to hands under your shoulders, then to your hips. Come all the way up, bend into your left knee, coming into Sandasana at the back of the mat. Turn your torso toward the back of the mat, step back into plank, lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your left leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. And step your right foot to meet your left at the front of the mat. Bend your knees. Sweep your hands across the mat as you inhale up into chair. Bring your hands down by your side with your palms face forward. Come to your tiptoes, come into flying chair. Hands overhead, straighten your knees. Bring your hands down to your heart center. Lift your right leg. Rotate the knee out. Use your foot as a kickstand on the inside of your calf, or if you're feeling more comfortable in your balance, bring it to the inside of your upper thigh. Keep that knee rotated out. Hands into your heart center. Inhale your hands up, overhead, and out into your tree. Lift your left or your right foot into staff. Keep your hands overhead and start to bring your torso down. So bring your left or right leg back behind you, coming into crescent lunge. Lower your hands all the way down to the mat. Step back to plank. Rotate your feet toward the left side, coming to the left blade or the blade edge of the left foot, and lift up into side plank. Lower your hand back down, coming into plank, lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your left leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. Grab onto your prop here. Coming back into half moon. Start to bring your weight to your left foot as you pop your right leg up. And start to come into your half moon. Do it slowly here as you rotate your hip out to the side and start to bring your weight more to your left leg. I've got a wall in my way, so I'm doing this a little bit awkwardly, but it should still look really good to you. Put more weight in your left leg, using your right or left hand on your prop to help you keep this balance. And if it's available to you, you can bring your gaze to the side, or you can start to bring your gaze up toward your right hand. And slowly lower your hand all the way down to the mat. Step your right foot to meet your left at the front of the mat. Heel toe your feet to the sides of the mat with your toes out a little bit as you squat down into your Malasana squat, bringing your hips and your glutes down, not all the way to the mat. They're still hovering up above, and bring your elbows to the insides of your knees with your hands at your heart center in prayer. Chest is up, and bring your glutes all the way down to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Place your hands on the outsides of your thighs. Parallel your shins or your calves to the floor. Point your toes. Straighten your back here, keeping a straight, flat spine. Shoulders down away from your ears. And reach your hands forward, coming into boat. Or bended knee boat. Place your feet on the mat. Place your hands behind your glutes. Scoop back until your knees are straight. Keep your hands behind your glutes with your fingers pointed toward your body. Press your palms into the mat as you lift your hips up into reverse plank. Working to get the soles of your feet on the mat. Lift your hips a little higher. Slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Even your back coming all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. Place your feet on the mat behind your glutes. Your hands on the mat down by your heels. Make sure you can tickle your heels with your fingertips. Press your palms into the mat as you lift your hips up into bridge. You can go a little farther here by bringing your hands underneath your glutes. Interlace your fingers, press your palms together, and press your wrists into the mat as you lift your hips up. And slowly lower all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. Grab the backs of your thighs. Rock 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. All the way up to a sitting position. Cross your legs, similar to how you did at the beginning of our practice. Place your hands on your knees with your palms together and press your forefinger and thumb together. This is a grounding mudra. And breathe here. Coming back to Ujjayi breath. Did a lot of work to get here. If your eyes are closed, blink them open. Place your hands at the top of your mat, or we're still at the back of the mat, but place your hands at the back of the mat. Lean forward and step your feet back to plank. Lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your left leg up to 3-legged dog. Exhale, swing your foot through in between your hands. Lower that back foot to the mat, the 90 degrees. Bring your arms up into warrior 2. Straighten your left knee, lean forward, come into triangle. Bring your right hand down to the mat and your left hand up into revolved triangle. Left hand down to the mat. Grab your block with your left hand as you pop your right leg forward, coming into your half moon. Do this slowly. Spend a little extra time here on half moon because it's a really good way to work on your balance. Once you're in half moon, think about getting your right leg more parallel to the mat as you have it opened up. And work on bringing more weight to your left leg. And also think about stretching your torso and your head forward as you stretch your left or right leg back. Kind of like we do in Warrior 3, but with our body open to the side of the mat. Lower your right hand down to the mat. Step your left or your right foot back on the mat, still at that 90 degrees. Bring your arms up into warrior two. Rotate your feet, come into goddess. Rotate your feet again so they're facing the side of the mat. Hands parallel to the mat as you hinge at the waist, coming forward. Hands under your shoulders. Grab your big toes with your peace fingers. Inhale to that flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale brings you back up. Your hands to your waist. Come all the way up. Start to bend into that right knee and come into Skandasana on the right side. Place your hands at the top of the mat, at the front of the mat. Step back to plank. Lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing it through, stepping in between your hands. And step your left foot all the way up to the front of the mat as well. Inhale, sweep your hands across the mat, come up into chair. Bring your hands down by your sides so your palms face forward, come to your tiptoes, into flying chair. And then come all the way up, straighten your hands overhead, straighten your knees. Bring your hands down to your heart center in prayer. Lift your left knee, your left foot. Rotate that ankle out or the knee out. Place your foot as a kickstand on the inside of your shin or on the inside of your thigh. Inhale your arms up overhead and bring your hands out into your full expression of tree. Bring your hands back in. Keep your knee lifted, coming into staff. Step it back all the way in back of you, keeping on your toes. Bring your hands up overhead into crescent. Bring your hands down to the mat. Step back to plank. Rotate your feet to the left, coming to the blade edge of that left foot as you lift your right hand up, coming into side plank. And if you're comfortable, you can work on stacking your feet here, lifting your hips a little bit more, and bring your gaze up toward your left hand. Bring your hand back down to the mat, come back to plank, lower to chaturanga, upward dog, and downward dog. Inhale your right leg up to three-legged dog. Exhale, swing it through in between your hands. Grab onto your prop and start to bring your weight to your right side, your right leg, as you pop your left leg up. And start to rotate your hips open to the left as you bring your left hand up overhead. As you do this, you can continue to look down at the mat. Find a point on the mat to look at, and as you become more comfortable, start to bring your gaze to the side. And as you're a little bit more comfortable, you can start to bring your gaze up toward the ceiling. Bring your left hand back down to the mat. Step your left foot to meet your right at the front of the mat. Heel toe your feet open to the sides of the mat and squat down into Malasana, keeping your hips off the mat. Elbows are pressed into the insides of your knees and your hands are at prayer and heart at your heart center. Bring your glutes all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. Grab the backs of your thighs. Bring your shins and your calves parallel to the mat. Point your toes. Straighten your back here, keeping your spine straight. Reach your hands forward, coming into boat pose. Lower your feet down to the mat. Bring your hands behind your glutes. Scoot your butt back, making your knees straight on the mat here and your legs straight out in front of you. Keep your hands behind your glutes with your palms, with your fingertips facing the front or facing your body. Press your palms into the mat, point your toes, lift your hips up, working to get the soles of your feet on the mat as you lift your hips a little bit higher and slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Bring your back all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. Place your feet on the mat behind your glutes. About hip width distance apart. Hands down by your sides of your palms on the mat. Make sure you can tickle your heels with your fingers. Press your palms into the mat as you lift your hips up into bridge. And if you want to go a little bit farther, bring your hands underneath your glutes. Interlace your fingers. Press your palms together and press your wrists into the mat to bring your hips up a little bit more. And lower all the way down. Hug your knees into your chest. Bring your hands behind your thighs. Rock. 1, 2, and on the third time, come all the way up. Cross your legs, similar to how we did in the beginning. This is where we're going to do Lotus. Turn and face me. To come into Lotus, bring one foot up over your thigh. So it hooks here on your thigh. And then as you've got that one on top of your thigh, bring your next foot up over your thigh. If this isn't quite available to you to get into a full Lotus, you can do a half Lotus. So you've got one foot on top of your thigh and the other one is just rested underneath your knee. Or if you're not quite ready for that, you can just cross your ankles here or cross your legs. If it's available to you, again, you can stay here in half Lotus, or you can work on bringing that other leg up, foot up and over your thigh. Place your hands on your knees with your palms face up and your finger and thumb together in the mudra. Close your eyes, tuck your chin slightly. Come back to your Ujjayi breath. Focus on your breathing. And slowly blink your eyes open. Bring your hands to your heart center. Give yourself a little bow for going through that flow. Let's move on to our challenge for this month. So uncross your toes, hug your knees in close to your chest. Come to your knees first, so your hands and knees, and then slowly find your way to a standing position on your mat. So we've been working on tree, and we already did tree a little bit in our practice. We're going to do tree again. I was really working on this. Tree is a really good pose to help you work into your balance postures. It's like a foundational balance posture pose, so that as you want to work into dancer or warrior 3 or these other ones, if you start with tree and get your balance there, the other balances have become a little bit easier for you. So here in tree, first come to mountain pose. And here in mountain pose, you want to make sure that your tummy is tucked slightly and your chest is up. In mountain pose, it's more about shining forward. So your chest is up, shoulders are back away from your ears, and your body is strong here. So hands are down by your sides with your palms facing forward. And this is a really good foundational pose to be in because it'll help you think about the same type of stance for your other poses that we get in, especially in tree as we're standing in this. The biggest difference between mountain pose and tree is, of course, one leg. There's a few other differences too, but I want you to think about that being a big difference. So as you come into tree, think about just being in a one-legged mountain pose. Start to bring your weight to your left foot as you lift your right up, first coming into staff with that 90-degree angle in your knee, and then rotate your knee out. Place your foot wherever is most comfortable to you. So if you're still working on your balance, it's okay to use a kickstand here. Go where your body is most comfortable. You don't want to go so quickly that you're not quite ready to get into that balance. So you can place it as a kickstand with the heel above your ankle and your toes on the floor. And then as you start to work away from kickstand, maybe you lift your toes up a little bit, but your heel is still where above your ankle. And then as you want to move a little bit more, bring your foot to the inside of your calf. And then as you get a little bit more, bring it to your upper thigh. Avoid placing your foot on your joints. So avoid your knee and avoid directly placing it on your ankle. So here, as you're in tree, make sure that knee is out. You still have that same mountain pose stance where this leg is strong and your belly is tucked in the same that it would be in mountain pose. Your heart is shining forward. First, bring your hands to your heart center and find a place. I'm looking directly at the screen since I'm facing you, but you want to find a place on the wall in front of you that you can gaze at as you're working through this pose, as you bring your hips, your foot up as it's needed into whichever stance is most comfortable for you. And keep it there as you grow your hands up overhead, and do this slowly so you can maintain your balance, and then bring your hands out. So your fingers are wide and your arms are out into this tree. So these are your branches. And then grow your branches back into your heart and place your right foot back on the mat. Come back to your mountain pose. Think about being strong here, and then start to bring your weight to your right leg as you lift your left up into staff first, and then rotate that knee out. You can use it as a kickstand here. We'll walk through it again. Use it as a kickstand, and then as you start to get your balance a little bit more, lift your toes up off the mat. As you start to get more balance, bring it to your calf. And as you start to get more balance, bring your foot to the inside of your thigh. And it might be a little bit farther down on your thigh, and then as you work a little bit more, you can work to get it up a little bit more. Continue to keep that knee rotated out. Lift up through your torso here to get that strong base in your tree trunk. Hands at your heart center, and slowly grow your hands up overhead and then out. And it's okay to wobble in your tree. Trees wobble a little bit in the wind, and that's okay. That's part of balance. Balance isn't about being completely still. It's about continuing to adjust where needed to maintain that pose. So you'll notice when you're looking at a still picture of a yogi, go ahead and bring your hands back into your heart center and set your foot on the mat. And as you look at yogis, a still picture, you can't tell that there's a lot of muscle movement that's actually going into that pose. As they come up into these balance postures, they're continuing to adjust in their muscles and in their feet to maintain that balance. So it's never like a complete pull, like they're not a pull that doesn't move at all. They're always continuing to adjust where needed. Inhale your arms up overhead. And exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips all the way down. Widen your stance so your feet are about hip width distance apart. Please, that's about 2 fists in between your feet. Place your hands underneath your feet with your palms up so the soles of your feet and the palms are touching, and your toes are tickling your wrists so that far underneath your feet. Bend your knees so that your belly is resting on your thighs. We're going to get into this a little bit differently than we usually do. And work on getting that straight back as you're here with bended knees. And then start to straighten your knees as your belly follows your thighs coming forward. So press your hips up, starting to straighten your knees, and your belly just follows your thighs forward. And then as you're in this pose, you can come a little bit more by working to bring your elbows out toward the front. So they're not completely facing the front, but they're not completely at the sides either. They're more at the corners of your mat. And release. Bring your hips all the way down to the mat. Hug your knees into your chest. Straighten your legs out wide. Flex your toes here. Inhale your hands up overhead. Turn your torso toward your left foot and hinge at the waist, coming over that left leg. Grab onto your foot here if that's available to you, or you can grab onto your toe. Inhale to that flat back, exhale, fold. Slowly come all the way up. Inhale your hands back up overhead, and exhale, hinge at the waist, coming forward. Bring your hands down to the floor in front of you. Walk them out as you continue to keep that straight back. Keep your back straight here. If you start to round, come back to where you have that straight back. And slowly walk your hands out as far as you can and hold. Bring your hands back into your center. Inhale and back up overhead. Turn your torso toward the right and hinge over your right leg. Grab onto your foot or your toes here. Inhale again to that flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale brings you all the way back up. Cross your legs here. Since we started a little late, we won't do a Shavasana today, but we did really good Lotus pose today, which I think was really good as we breathe through Lotus. Bring your hands to your heart center. First, thank yourself for your practice today. Thank yourself for your movement. Thank yourself for your breath. And I thank you for joining me on the mat and for allowing me to share my love of yoga with you. The light in me honors, respects, and loves the light in you. Namaste. All right. Where are we on time? We're not too bad since we started at like 8:15. Could you still hear me through the whole practice? Good. Yeah, I think I just had to restart my computer. That's so funny. I'm sorry that we started so late and then ended a little bit later today. Hopefully that was good practice. We were on our feet quite a bit, but hopefully towards the end it was a little bit better. that's great. Honestly, if you only fell over a few times, that's perfect. I mean, honestly, half moon is one of my more difficult balance poses that I'm still working on. And it doesn't help that I have this wall behind me because it throws me off to have something right behind me on that one side. Oh, good. They didn't crap too much. But they did get a good workout today. Yes, most definitely, especially as we did tree again at the end. So, I mean, that was what we did, half moon twice. If you go through the full flow from just where without any interruptions in it, I think it's like half moon twice and tree pose. So really we did half moon like, man, how many times did we do it? Because we on each side we would have done it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times we did half moon. It's a lot, but I'm sure it's good. From standing, we can try that. We can work on that maybe, and I'll have to figure that out, but I think we could work on half moon from standing and see how that is. I like that. I've always just done it from down below because it's easier to grab that prop, but there are ways, and especially if you're really working on the same way you do with Warrior 3, as you're trying to keep your body straight and more rigid as you get into the pose, I could see how going into it from standing would be very helpful. And then, yeah, turning to the hips to the side is really, it's hard. It's different. You'd think that it'd be a lot easier because when you're in Warrior 3, you want to turn your hips out. And so it's harder to get your hips more parallel to the mat. But it's really interesting. Anyway, Wednesday we'll do full body flow. And yep. Yeah, mine too. Mine has that same issue. I'm like, I turned it out and I want to turn as well. I'll see you Wednesday. Have a great rest of your day and great Tuesday as well. I'll see you later.